In this episode of Valve House,
we'll be installing a 10-inch screen in the E-cord. So first step is to disconnect the battery.
firstly, you're going to want to make sure the car's in neutral and the handbrake's down. So maybe use a brick to chock it up if you're on a hill. Then we're going to pull out the bit of the shift boot just by pulling it out with our fingers.
So the next step, once you've got the shift boot out, is to pull out this little ashtray here. So you just grab it on by the metal and it just pops right out. So on most cars, there should be a screw here and here, but for whatever reason on my car they're missing. So all I have to remove is this one screw just down in here. So with those screws removed, it doesn't need to come all the way out. If you do want to remove it, you just need to unplug this 12-volt socket just here. But when you're taking out the stereo, as long as it's out of the way, it doesn't matter.
Now we're going to take out this little storage compartment here, which is next. And we're going to do that by taking out these two little screws down here. So we'll just loosen them with a Phillips head screwdriver. Now once the two screws are out, I'm just going to reach in and just basically pull it out and wiggle. If I can get it out.
So unfortunately, for whatever reason, we can't get this out. I'm sure there is the right way to do it, but it doesn't need to come all the way out because you'll see later on all you need to do is just pull from the bottom. So currently we're just going to leave that in there. So one of the last steps in removing the radio is you just have to get a flathead. Now ideally we would be using an interior trim removal tool, but we don't have that, so a flathead's just our easiest way to do it. So you just got to come along and just gently pry it up from both sides, just to expose some screws to get the top of the stereo loose. Now it is a bit of a mission sometimes, but just it'll eventually pop out, just like that. So now once we've got that off, you can just see there's just these two flathead screws just in here, which we're just going to pull out. So once those screws are out, the radio can just, if you pull from the bottom, then loosen it from the top, just comes out just like that, and now you just got to unplug everything. So after a bit of struggling, we've just found that the best way to remove these is there's a little tab on the very, very bottom, and you just push that in and they come right out. So to remove the antenna plug, you just got to get a set of needle nose pliers or multi-grips or anything, and it just pulls right out. So on the new radio, it comes with a lot of wires, but these are the two main harnesses. This one, you don't have to do anything to it. It just plugs in on both these ends and then into the stereo. And this is another one, I believe this is for the speakers or something, but as you can see, it's very customizable. Like you've got all these which you can solder back into the harness, like for multiple keys, or, oh, you can't read that, oh, reverse. So if you have a reversing camera set up, there's also another one for an external microphone and stuff like that. So the harness is very adaptable. So I've plugged in all the wires I'm going to use. As you can see, there are a lot of spare ports for reversing cameras, microphones and stuff like this. But all I really need is got Bluetooth and this charger, which I'm just going to route into the glove box. Okay, so we just plug everything in. And this one into here.
As you can see, we've mounted the head unit just to make sure it fits. And we'll power the car up just to make sure it all works, and instead of screwing it all down and something doesn't work, we'll leave it how it is like that. And now I'm going to put in the GPS receiver up here, so I'll just lift this up and stick it up here somehow.
Nice. Now we're just going to run through everything, have a quick test, and then we'll get back.
After playing around with it for a few hours, we finally got it working. It's got all the Bluetooth, it's got phone book, and all this jazz. And then if we go back out, it has the Google Play Store here, so we can download YouTube, Google Maps, we've got Spotify and Chrome, and we can download basically anything off the Chrome store or the Play Store.
So it still retains the dual climate control, so the passenger and the driver can have their perfect temperature. And honestly, I prefer the climate control layout compared to the factory one. It's just a lot simpler, everything's just easier to grab at. So yeah, I'm very happy with it. Thank you for watching this episode of Valve House.